I became troubled with the state of my homeland. Its people seemed to fall into inner turmoil and faults. Its rulers were corrupt. Its challenges went unanswered as the people sought someone to blame rather than solutions. And in the din of strife I heard them cry out for someone to save them. They cried for a mentor to show them a way they could believe in and to which to surrender their thought and their will. I became disgusted with their cowardice, that they would not see themselves, and I despaired. I believed that I was the last, or one of the last, of the men that still had a true spiritual heart. I began to fear that I was one of the last that had an inner hearth in which the sacred fire burned. For a time I spoke with them and argued with them, but I was ignored. A prophet from before has said that to show most men truth is as good as throwing pearls before swine, and I fought that thought bitterly, this thought that to seek those who will hear is futile. And in my yearning, not assuming that I knew all that was needed to aid myself or my fellows, I retreated into the books of lore, into the discussions of masters and sages, and I heard amongst their words a familiar voice, first heard in a dream from my youth. And I heard it again when I met various holy men and women, and again during certain ceremonies that celebrated the divine and the mundane. I fell into a deep malaise, and thought for sure that all of mankind was doomed to forever be captured by its false nature. Even those of us who seemed to succeed are trapped. In the words of the comedian, the problem with the rat race is that even if you win, you are still a rat. So I concentrated on my own self-mastery, on my own desire to be doing good, and I had some success, but it was always mixed with the dread that there was some elusive answer I had missed, that there was something just beyond my sight, and if only I could see it, the mystery would be unveiled. This is how I came to be in a quiet corner of a noisy public house. My cold beer in its glass, my notebook and pen in hand, and the voices of the crowd a kind of chorus that brought a numbing peace. How long I would have sat there I do not know. Then the familiar voice said, "Walk outside," and I did so. "Drive into the wilderness," it said, and I obeyed. "Sell your home and all you possess. Be prepared to spend a month in my care," it whispered. And I called my attorney and told him my wishes. I drove until I came to an old campground. I took the tent from the top of the car and my camping gear. I walked into the woods and found a place to pitch the tent. I did so in the setting light of the sun. I laid out my fire and set my coffee to brewing. On an old dene blanket, I reclined and looked up at the heavens. Then a woman's face was peering at me. Her long, curling dark hair and Levant-kissed skin were bathed in the last rays of the sun. "Do not be afraid," she said. "May I share your coffee? We have much to discuss." And this is how I met Lady Harmony in ancient days, called Ma'at.